Hello and welcome to the Conscious Provider Network YouTube channel. I am so excited to invite our newest member, Marshall, to join us. So Marshall's going to talk a little bit about his practice and what he does. So take it away, Marshall. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm Marshall Graeber, and the short answer is that I help people feel more in their body in order to have more depth of intimacy, more passion, more love, and romance in their lives.
Oh my gosh, love and romance. Everybody could use that. So talk to me about what kind of people you work with.
So really, I do work with anybody, whether you're single or coupled. If you're looking to have more fulfilling relationships, more intimacy, more love, I will be able to work with you and help you. And I have a particular specialty and fondness in working with men who are, kind, smart, and successful. They've got their life going pretty well, but they haven't quite yet found either the woman of their dreams, or they're wanting to take their current relationship much deeper to their ideal version of the relationship that they desire.
So could you talk about some intimacy blocks or why people wouldn't achieve intimacy? And what do you mean exactly by intimacy? Is intimacy just physical intimacy? Is it sex? Is it something else?
I absolutely love that question because it's a question that many people have, and a lot of my clients, when they start, like, have a very specific idea of what intimacy is, and a lot of times, and often, that is physical intimacy. It means sex for them, which it's true that sex is a part of intimacy and it can be very intimate, but intimacy for me is much broader because it also means emotional intimacy, or just like being able to open your heart to another person and be connected with them and be present in that moment. So, you can have the emotion, you can have the physicality, you can have an intellectual conversation that's very intimate. There's many different ways that this can shake out. And so I help people not only get clear on what they want and what they mean by intimacy, but I also help give them the tools to be able to create that in their lives.
So I want to focus in on this idea because I think maybe I don't know. I don't know if it's so clear to me or so clear to others, but what is emotional intimacy? What does that mean? And physical is easy because like it's a shift in the physical movement and the amount of clothes you're wearing. But what is emotional intimacy? Can you help me
Well,
understand that a little more?
absolutely. And it actually starts with being able to be intimate with yourself. Now, most people might think, hey, that's touching yourself. But no, we're talking about emotional intimacy here. And that means being able to feel your own emotions and to be in approval of the emotions that you are feeling. To be like, hey, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad. Not only is that okay, but I have such a relationship with my emotion that I'm curious about what it is trying to give me, what is it is trying to tell me, because emotions are based in sensation, based in the body. And that's the body's way of communicating up to your brain. The body doesn't use words. It starts with sensations that get turned into emotions.
Okay, let's
And
be
being able
concrete.
to have that with yourself then creates the possibility of being emotionally intimate with another person who's able to do the same thing with themselves. And then you'd be able to do it together.
Okay, so let me be concrete. I'm going to throw out an example because I want to really have some take home skills to understand what this means. So, yeah, this morning I was really triggered. I had a meeting, it didn't happen. Then I had some issues with school and kids and all this stuff. And I was really, really frustrated. So, what would it mean? How would I be emotionally intimate with myself in this situation?
Well, the first step is having awareness of what it is that you're feeling, and noticing that, hey, I'm feeling frustrated. And then from that awareness, you go into, okay, I'm feeling frustrated. Not only, yeah, and that's okay. So you end up taking a deep breath. Going, that allows your body to go ahead and slow down. It makes it easier to be present, well, with that emotion. And then once you're present with that frustration, you can be like, oh, okay. So now I know I'm frustrated. Uh, that's really good because frustration is trying to tell me something. As what is it trying to tell me? You can then kind of have an internal dialogue, talking to your frustration as if it were, your imaginary friend type of thing.
Oh, so you're basically having like an intimate relationship with your emotion and seeing it almost like a person, like personified, or like a dialogue with that feeling.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Now it's starting to make a little bit more sense. Okay, because people throw around these words, and I think it's just it becomes hard to kind of understand. I think people want to achieve that. Everybody wants that connection with themselves and with others, but I think people have a hard time knowing what that means and how to achieve it. So, do you
I
use
agree.
any skills? What are there techniques that you use to get people more intimate with themselves?
There are a number of them, because I've studied a broad spread of different lineages and techniques, from tantra to like a landmark thing that's a little bit more mental to it's all over the place. And so I combine all of them, and some of it is like breath work, some of it is like a meditation, and some of it is writing things down, like a journaling exercise to kind of get clear on what's happening for you. I also use something called fear inventory to help people clear out their own resentments and fears so that they've got more access to their own emotions.
Ooh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah.
So you mean fear is like a mask of the real emotion, or that resentment is masking something deep underlying it?
Almost always. I'd
Oh.
say 99.9% of the time. If you're feeling resentful at something or someone, it's actually a mask on top of something that did not go the way that you wanted it to, or that was not fully expressed.
Hmm. All right, I think I could use you. We'll talk later. um, okay. Wow. Interesting. So you use a bunch of different techniques for people to get to the root of their feelings and to really understand what's going on. Do you feel that when people start getting clear with their feelings, they start getting clear in general, like about life, about their direction in life?
Absolutely. Well, my view and my the way that I've seen the world operate is that most of us, at in fact, I'm going to go ahead and say all of us, at least at some point during each day, end up feeling an emotion that kind of takes over a little bit, that kind of basically drives the vehicle or the car that is Marshall or Adina, and the all of a sudden instead of us driving the car, it's the emotion driving the car. So it's a very human thing, happens all the time, totally okay. And we're looking at what we can do to help minimize those so that we're more conscious and present and with our emotions, so that once we're, with our emotions, being with them, we can make a conscious choice on how to respond to that emotion. And that's true freedom for me, is
So
being
it's
able to make choices, conscious choices, regardless of circumstance, regardless of what you're feeling, regardless of what's going on around you.
So you're saying multiple times in the day, we have feelings that sometimes might take over the decision making. And what you say is, I work with people to connect with their feelings, but not have their feelings be the driver of those decisions, but their conscious mind, their higher self, so to speak, or some another part of them being the driver.
Yeah, absolutely. And conscious self or higher self are totally terms that people might recognize. Uh, I like to think of it as you just being exactly who you really and truly are in that moment. Um, Basically because there's a little bit of like elevation and bypassing that can happen as you start talking about best self, higher self. It's like, let's stay concrete, let's stay grounded in our bodies, let's stay on earth in this world and be able to be present there.
Okay. So their true self and making a choice that makes most sense to us, that's aligned with us from a place of groundedness instead of having the emotion.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is exciting. So can you give an example of a client you worked with and how your work with them helped them?
Absolutely. I was working with a gentleman for about 6 months last year when he first came to me. He was in a relationship with a woman who kind of like met all of his check marks, all his list, as it were. You know, she was cute. She was very expressed and feminine, very, enticing, very attractive. And basically the ideal like manifestation of what he thought that he wanted. But what he was doing with her was like violating his own boundaries, trying to please her and take care of her to make sure that she stuck around. And he was left feeling like frustrated, drained. His nervous system was very fried. He was very like worried and anxious the whole time, basically, because oh my God, what if she leaves? What if she does this? What if? It's like, whew, slow down a little bit, buddy. So I worked with him in looking at getting in touch with his emotions so that he could choose how to respond when the feelings of like worry, fear, those anxiety feelings, or maybe even sadness and loneliness. What happens when he came into those emotions? And then also kind of doing a little bit of a backtrack to see where he first felt those emotions and or the earliest that he can remember at the very least, where he first felt those emotions, and then how he responded and reacted in that point in time. Because oftentimes we'll end up feeling an emotion, we're a little overwhelmed and unequipped to deal with them properly, usually because we're children at this point in time or young adults, and we make a choice. Or we don't even necessarily make a choice because that would imply consciousness. We react in a way to make sure that we get the thing that we want in that moment. We make a survival based choice, basically. And so we went backwards through his life, found out where these things happened, where they got installed, and started gently bringing more love, attention, and approval to them so that he could melt those patterns and so that he could actually end up having choice when he felt those emotions in the current moment.
Wow.
So
I
yeah, he was
love
able
that.
to get out of that relationship in a very grounded and open-hearted way, and he's been much happier overall, much more joyful, much more able to feel his purpose and what he wants to do in life. He's looking at making a career change after he makes a certain amount of savings, and he's going to move in a new direction. And he is out selectively dating as he continues to go move through his own process of letting go of his past. So it's a really
Wow.
good success for him.
That's incredible. So do you believe it's possible for people to melt, so to speak, their old patterns?
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's very helpful. That's very hopeful for people. I think a lot of people get into relational patterns where they're just frustrated and they're just repeating the same things over and over again, but there's hope, sounds like.
Absolutely.
Okay. Amazing. Marshall, last question. Can you talk a little bit about what's in the background?
Yeah, so this is a depiction of Coco Pelli, who is a Southwest Native American deity, and he is the god of fertility, abundance, and mischief.
Ooh, mischief. Do you
Yeah, and so he's a bit of a reminder and a certain flavor for me that I like to kind of play with that resonates with me because I like being in abundance mindset. I like having more available and see the possibilities, and I like the lightness and the fun of the mischief flavor because especially in sex and relationships we can get so serious about all of it, and really, when we're having fun and when we're playing, we're going to be able to learn more faster and make changes and transformations much, much easier with in a surprising amount of speed.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's wonderful. So optimistic. I like the mischievousness aspect of this. Amazing, Marshall. Thank you so much. How can people find you?
The easiest way to find me is through Facebook, Marshall Graeber, also on Instagram. Both of those are great places to reach me. You can also reach out to me on those directly if you've got any questions or are curious about how could this possibly work for you.
Amazing. Thank you, Marshall, and have a wonderful day.
I will. You too, Adina. Thank you.
Bye.